This is tell me you're new to my channel without telling me you're new to my channel, even though you say you've reviewed my content. And that was a question of what is the latest date I'm willing to accept for the crucifixion. So this is, there's two ways in which I know that people who ask this question are new to my channel and new to my content without having to actually tell me that. Is first of all, there is no prophecy that states from the crucifixion to the rapture or to the second coming, there is a specific period of time. That is a misinterpretation of Hosea 6 that says in the after 2 days he will revive us and the third day he will raise us up and we shall live in his sight. Just because circumstantially it may wind up being true does not mean that's what that prophecy entails, and indeed it doesn't. It was a reference to Jesus rising on the third day and affording everyone who believes in him the ability to, by grace through faith, be accepted into new covenant. Because then the next verse says, and then shall we know if we follow on to know the Lord. His going forth is prepared as the morning, he shall come unto us as the rain, as the former and latter rain unto the earth. So that means that if they believe in Jesus, his finished work on the cross, then there is hope for kingdom, and he's coming back at a point in the future to establish that kingdom in which they will participate. There is a huge misunderstanding about Hosea 6, and I do believe that that is because people want to be able to pin a specific time from a point to a point and say this is when Jesus is returning, which I totally understand. So people who ask me what's the latest date by which I will accept for the crucifixion, I will automatically interpret that as them having some kind of inclination toward accepting a not altogether accurate interpretation of Hosea 6, believing that from the crucifixion to the second coming, there's going to be 2,000 years. And then, through further communication on a thread that's no longer there, it was more or less the person trying to lead me to 33 AD. Jesus did not die in 33 AD. The only reason anyone would suspect that is because they put his birth in the wrong year, or they're seeking some sort of sign in the heavens, which is not even on the correct day, because Jesus didn't die on a Friday, and whatever sign appeared on whatever day they think he died was on a Friday. Jesus died on a Thursday. Regardless, there's a couple of different clues in there that tells me this person has not watched my content, and they're following lines of thought that I have never taught and would never teach because they're not correct. What we can assert, and I have gone through this, is that 1406 is also, 32 AD is the year of the crucifixion. It's specifically the year of the triumphal entry, but also obviously the year of the crucifixion, since that happened only 4 days after the triumphal entry. But that is a derivative. It's not a starting point like this person was trying to make it. It's a derivative of some other year. And it's derived from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince, which is then, from point A to point B, there's going to be this amount of time, which happens to be 69 periods of 7 on a 360-day calendar. But the starting point of that is in the 20th year of the reign of Artaxerxes in the month Nisan, which is given in Nehemiah 2. So if you go to the historical record, it's very clear that Artaxerxes, who is in view in Nehemiah 2, began his reign in 465 BC. And the Persian regnal years are from fall to fall, which you can ascertain easily from Nehemiah 1 and 2 data points given. The month Kislev, which answers to our December, is in the 20th year of his reign, as stated in Nehemiah 1, as is the month Nisan, also in the 20th year of the reign of Artaxerxes in Nehemiah 2. So if December and March-ish are in the same 20th year, you know that you're working on a fall-to-fall calendar. So that's why I have it parsed the way that I do. And that's why we can ascertain that Nisan 10, in the month Nisan of the 20th year of the reign of Artaxerxes would have answered to the month of March in 445 BC. And then you have a count of 69 periods of 7 on a 360-day calendar, which arrives you at Nisan 10 of 32 AD, which is triumphal entry. So to start with the crucifixion as a starting point is flawed because there is no instruction to start with the crucifixion as a starting point of any count from anywhere. It is an ending point, Rather, it's not even an ending point. The triumphal entry is the ending point, and the crucifixion happened 4 days later as a result of their rejection on Nisan 10, Palm Sunday. So no, it's not 33 AD. The only reason anyone would think it is because they have a faulty birth year for Christ and they are following signs in the heavens, which were not correct. We don't do that here because typically what people try to attribute to that is just about always an error. So we just stay away from that here. August 11th, 465 BC was the beginning date of the reign of Artaxerxes I Longimanus, who is in view in Nehemiah, with the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem, specifically cited in Nehemiah 2:5. That answers to March 14th, 445 BC, and 69 periods of 7 on a 360-day calendar arrives you at April 6, 32 AD. I'm not willing to move from that point because it's verifiable in the historical record that there's no reason for me to need to move from that point when it lines up perfectly with the day count on a 360-day calendar from point A to point B. So there's no latest date upon which I'm willing to move it. That's what it is. People can agree or disagree, but if they disagree, it's because they're basing their belief system or their whatever on something other than historical record and biblical counts. Like, I don't know what else to say to that. But circumstantially, one of the other double checks that I have built into this to draw the visual picture, and this chart is available on my academia page, it's called The Ministry of Jesus and the Third Day. Nisan 10 of 32 AD. It's not even Nisan 10. Well, no, it is the triumphal entry. And then obviously 4 days later, the crucifixion. What we have up here in this chart is the transition from BC to AD, and I have this mapped out here so that you can see, because I'm using Gregorian year counts, we don't have a year 0. So 16 AD is the first Jubilee year in AD, and 65 AD is the second Jubilee year in AD. But the ministry of Christ would have occurred between 16 and 65. So down here I have, this is how you count Jubilees. It's 7 periods of 7. And this comes from Leviticus 25. When you shall come into the land that I shall give you, then the land shall declare a Sabbath unto the Lord. 6 years thou shalt sow thy field and prune thy vineyard, gather in the fruits thereof, and the 7th year is a year of rest. Thou shalt number unto thee 7 Sabbaths of years. They shall be unto thee 40 and 9 years, or something like that. And then in the 50th year, hallow it and proclaim Jubilee. So I have from 16 AD, which is the first year of a Jubilee year, a Jubilee cycle, rather, the first year in a period of 7 sevens, I have this. And then 65 would be the first year in the next period of 7 sevens. So I have this drawn out here. What do we note when we draw out 7 sevens? 32 AD is, it intersects in week 3 of year 3. So you have 7 years, a period of 7, and then 7 years, 7 periods of 7. So it would be, if you're going vertically, it's in column 3, row 3. So this is like when people ask me certain things, and this is circumstantial. I'm not saying it's right because look how it visually appears. But if you want a link to Hosea 6, after 2 days he will revive us, and the 3rd day he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. That's a reference to the 3rd day Jesus rising on the cross under a new covenant to bring everyone who believes in him into covenant relationship forward looking to kingdom. Which is again why it says, then shall we know if we follow on to know the Lord. He's coming back for us and we're going into the kingdom. That's basically the crux of those verses in Hosea 6. So it's the reference to the 3rd day is to the 3rd day of Jesus rising. Not that there will be 2,000 years from the time that he rose to the time that he comes back, and then that 3rd year is the 3,000th year kingdom. Yes, it probably will wind up working like that also, but that's not the primary reference. The primary reference is to Jesus rising on the 3rd day, and anyone who believes in him being afforded kingdom citizenship, which will occur physically when he returns at the second coming for Israel, specifically to whom Hosea was a prophet. So circumstantially, when you assume 1406 as a starting point, in conjunction with what we know about, and this is entirely different, with the Artaxerxes I Longimanus the beginning and the ending of the first 69 weeks of years. If you're operating on the assumption that those Jubilee years begin in 1406, where that ends you up is Jesus dying in the third year of that week, the third week of 7. It's an intersection of the third day. The third day in the period of 7 vertically and the third day in the period of 7 horizontally. So, excuse me while I choke on my spit. So people want to ask me, how far are you willing to project that out? I'm not. I'm not. The crucifixion of Jesus happened in the year that it happened in because that's the right thing. I understand that there are people who disagree with that, and I know why they would disagree with it, but I would disagree with them on points that actually have merit, not that just have like sign in the heaven value and putting Jesus born in a year that he wasn't born in because they have another discrepancy with a sign in the heaven. Legitimately, everything that people would use to suggest that Jesus was born in a year other than he was born in and that he died in a year other than what he died in is signs in the heavens based. And it's all wrong. So if somebody comes on my channel and they start asking me about the year that he died in and how far I'm willing to move that, I'm going to say, tell me that you're new to my channel without telling me that you're new to my channel, because that is like one of the best ways to do it. So I have this chart on my academia page, the ministry of Jesus in the third day. And yes, it actually, when you draw it out, the year that he died, between the Jubilees and how it's sandwiched and how the 7 sevens work and, you know, all of that, it's a horizontal and vertical intersection of the third day in 32 AD. So if you guys have any questions about this, let me know. But when people start trying to make me second guess, which is entirely what that was based on doing, the Holy Spirit always prompts me. He's like, hey, but see this. Remember we did this. This is why I have attacked this from so many different angles, because people come on my channel and they try to make me second guess. And then sometimes it's successful because I'm only human, and then the Holy Spirit's there immediately to be like, hey, no, don't listen to that. Here's why. Remember what I showed you. So this is what he showed me regarding this. I hope this is helpful to some of you. If you have any questions, let me know.